The latest rumors from Camp Microsoft is that there is a possibility they could be bringing out a new console a bit ahead of time, really. So we've got the Xbox Series X and the S, but I pretty much discount that. And that was released, I think, 2020. And it's no. Well, it hasn't done as well as Microsoft have expected. You've got the Xbox Series X and you've got the PlayStation 5. The PlayStation 5 has taken off, it's doing pretty well, even though I didn't expect that, to be fair. I actually thought that the Xbox Series X was doing quite well, but end of year sales figures show that the Series X isn't doing very well. And the latest rumours are that, or I say rumours, it's not really a rumour unless it has some kind of backing, and I think this might just be wishful thinking, possibly. But the latest news, that's not even the right word, is that we could be seeing a new generation Xbox in 2026. So we're now, what, nearly 4 years into... Oh, really? Yep. Nearly 4 years into the Xbox Series X. Generally, consoles have about between 7 and 8 years. So Microsoft could be launching the the Xbox Series X2, which is what it seems to be called at the minute, as early as 2026, probably to try and give them a leap ahead of Sony, who are scheduled roughly to launch the PlayStation 6 in 2028. Really, I mean, I'd be very surprised if they release a new Xbox next year. So 2025 for the X2, whatever they want to call it. And I watched a couple of videos, saw some people talking about this X2, that it's going to have 20 gig of DDR, this RAM, and it's just going to be, it's so much faster and quicker, and there's things that it can do much better than our current gen of consoles. One of those was like ray tracing at 120 frames per second, and yeah, that all sounds well and great. But my current train of thought, and I've got some actual videos coming out on this subject, is that do we need the console? I mean, the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X are great, but they are just speed bumps. They are just better graphics. They're not really bringing much to it. Just fancy looking games. And I think that the Xbox Series X2 and the PlayStation 6, unless they bring something different, that's all it's going to be. It's going to be a graphics bump, a processor bump, loading speeds. So that has gotten a little off track, but the Series X2 could be released earlier than expected. I don't know what that means for people who are in the Xbox Series X market, because they're not cheap consoles. They are great consoles. Does it, I don't really know. Do we need another Xbox, another bump up? Now, there was one train of thought that the reason that they're bringing this X2 out is because they made a bit of a mistake bringing out the Xbox Series S, the sort of cut down version, and anything that runs on the Series X has to run on the Series S. Now, the Series S is, I think, could be wrong, just an HD console, so that's 1440, doesn't support 4K. There's all these extra bits that you get on the Series X. But if a game is developed for the Series X, then it has to run well on the Series S2, Series S, not the Series S2, but the Series S. And there are a lot of people who say that the reason that the Series X isn't selling so well is because games aren't pushing it enough, because they have to cater for the Series S. And I don't really know about that. I've not had any experience of the Series S. I know it's a small, all digital, cut down version of the Series X, and just by giving it that description, it sounds like it could be right. So perhaps when Microsoft release their next console, the Series X2, they will say this is the one console. There'll be no cut down version, budget friendly version, and then they can, developers can push their games for that system to its full potential. So maybe there is some truth in the fact that the Series S is holding back the Series X, but I think a lot of it is still that gaming has got pretty much as far as it can, and once you get past the fact that it's a fancy game and it looks nice and it's probably bigger and it loads quick, is it really that much different to the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 in terms of gameplay? In the same vein, I think that the PS4 and the Xbox One wasn't much different to the PS3 and the Xbox 360. It was just a bump in graphics, maybe the ability to load bigger worlds and greater draw distance, and just everything looked a bit nicer. And that's the jump that we're getting in between consoles at the minute, is more graphics and size, and gameplay is just the same. So is a Series X2 just going to follow this suit? The same with the PlayStation 6. We need something wow for it to work, and if Microsoft come out with this Series X2 sooner than we thought, and it has something different than just a bumped up games console, then I think it probably could do well. Do I think that Microsoft will release the X2 early? Possibly, for two reasons. One, to get a jump ahead of Sony, and two, to try and get round this poor sales of the Series X. So let me know what you think. Am I looking forward to whatever this series? I mean, there was actually, on a small point, there was supposed to be a mid-tier jump for the Series X. They were going to bring this all-digital round trash can style Series X out. I think that has been squashed, and now the new rumours are that the Series X2 to be released sort of 2026, when really in sort of gaming console schedules it should be about 2028. So I don't know. Like I say, these are all rumours. I don't think there's any hard facts or any hard release from Microsoft on any of this. But what do you think? The small amount of things I've seen about the X2, and these may not even be real figures, is that it's got this wow fancy new graphics chip. It's capable of, don't know, but it's got 20 gig of RAM. It really does spec wise look great, but that a decent, fast, powerful machine does not mean decent games. So let me know what you think. Series X2, if that's what they're going to call it. Do we need it? Do we need it sooner than it should be? Could we see it in 2026? Link, like, subscribe, enjoy.